Non-transgender people go through their lives every day being able to access and receive healthcare like it is second nature. What a lot of people don't realize is how important it is that transgender community is able to access and receive healthcare just as easily. Transgender healthcare is the health-related care that transgender people need when it comes to certain medicines, physical health, and mental health. Did you know that an estimated 1.4 million Americans, that is close to 0.6% of the population of the United States, identifies as transgender? This map shown here shows the status of health insurance for the transgender community in the United States. As you can see, majority of the states have no law or policy prohibiting discrimination in insurance protections. Transgender healthcare is not a recent issue, but one that goes as far back as before the 1920s. As our text states, in 1917, in the United States, Dr. Alan Hart underwent a hysterectomy and eventually a mastectomy to help him live his life as a man. But although transgender people have been around through history, only in the past century has the medical profession been able to provide help to change our bodies to match our gender identities. The first institute to offer reassignment surgery was Hirschfeld's in the 1920s, where Hirschfeld performs castration on Dora Richter in 1922. Christine Jorgensen is who brought the true attention to the transgender revolution. Her story was in the New York Times in 1952 because she wanted her story to bring a face to the transgender community, as well as the lack of health care provided for them. Later, in 1979, there was question about the reassignment surgeries due to the fact that it was believed that one transgender who received surgery was no better than one who did not. This study's accusations resulted in WPATH creating the first version of standards of care for the health of transsexual, transgender, and gender nonconforming people. In our text, Trans Bodies, Trans Selves, it states that many cisgenders in the general U.S. population are uninsured and transgender people are less likely to have insurance than cisgenders. The main reasoning behind this is because many people get insurance through employment, and transgender people are less likely to be employed. Another issue is identity documents. Identity documents for transgender people can have issues stating the correct name and gender, which results in difficulty applying for public insurance, if they even qualify. If transgender people are employed, many employers have insurance policies that exclude transgender people, but this is changing. More and more employers are offering inclusive insurance. According to the Human Rights Campaign's Corporate Equality Index, 340 private companies currently offer at least one transgender inclusive healthcare plan, and 28% of Fortune 500 companies cover comprehensive transgender care for employees. I have recently started a Netflix show called Orange is the New Black. In this show, a transgender woman is in prison and is suddenly told her estrogen dosage has been reduced due to new regulations. To the doctors and to everyone else, this is not a big deal, but in order for her to keep up with her womanly body, she must take the correct dosage of estrogen pills. As the days pass, she notices her face starting to sag and her hair starting to grow on her face. While everyone else might not think this is a big deal, everything she has done to her body pre-prison is going to waste. She finally feels like herself, and she is losing it slowly. Luckily, her dosage was put back up, but for the few episodes I saw how important it was for a transgender person to receive the proper medical care. Taking action both in and out of the medical field is important. One way people outside the medical field can help the trans community is to educate themselves and learn the transgender vocabulary so they can understand more about a transgender person's life. The GLAAD Media Reference Guide is a great resource to use to help learn the transgender vocabulary. Action in the medical field is also being taken for the transgender community. The World Professional Association for Transgender Health Guidelines is a multidisciplinary professional society representing specialties of medicine, psychology, social sciences, and law. Their published clinical guidelines about the psychiatric, psychologic, medical, and surgical management of gender identity disorders are widely used by specialists in transgender healthcare. Lastly, the National LGBT Health Education Center holds conferences for healthcare providers to learn more about the transgender community. This is a great source for healthcare providers to use in order to learn the importance of adding it onto their policies. This project has helped me realize the importance of healthcare for the transgender community. I hope it has helped you realize as well. Let's continue to fight for the transgender healthcare.